Cool. So today I'm going to talk about how to use Swift on the server to generate static websites. But before I do that, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Tibor Bödecs, and I'm the author of the Swift Dev blog, where I post articles about Swift development, which is pretty obvious. I've also written a book about the Vapor Web framework. The book is called Practical Server-Side.Swift, and it is available on Gumroad. 2 years ago, I established a small company with my friends, and it's called Binary Birds, and we provide server-side Swift consulting and mobile application development for our clients. This year, I joined Swift Server Group, and together with Ioannis, we are publishing articles on the SwiftOnServer.com website. That's about me. During this session, I'm going to talk about my long and complicated relationship with the World Wide Web. Yes, it's about the internet and websites, to be more precise. I started building websites during my university years, and together with a friend, we even created a content management system called Entropy. It was all written using PHP. It was a big success. No, it wasn't. But it was, at least for us. Actually, I used this project for many, many years during my professional career to build websites. Then I had enough of web development and started to learn Objective-C and create mobile applications using it. When Swift came out, I knew I wanted to build everything using this programming language. So a few years ago, I started to recreate our little University Love project using Swift. This time under the name Feather CMS. And 4 years later, here I am giving a public speech at a ServerSide Swift conference. And the big question is this: what happened to the Feather CMS project, right? Here is the short version of the story. I wanted to build a general-purpose content management system with Swift. At that time, I was working all alone, and eventually, Feather CMS had way too many features, and it became just too complicated for me, as I used to be a solo developer. When we established our company, I also realized, hey, we don't need this. We just need simple tools. We wanted to build websites without using a complex CMS. So we put the project on hold for a while. Yeah, we kept the foundations, and we also created an easy-to-use static site generator instead. So let's just say, Feather is a whole different bird now. I will show you more about this later. But before we do that, let me tell you a bit more about static websites and how they work in general. What's exactly a static website? You might say it's just a bunch of files sitting on a server, hanging around, doing not much, right? It's kind of like a digital bookshelf, where the books never change. You open it, you get the exact same story all the time. No surprises. Okay, but what kind of static files are we talking about exactly? The building blocks of a static website can be categorized into 3 major components: HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and a bunch of other assets, such as pictures, videos, fonts, etc. HTML is the backbone, giving the structure to the site, like the skeleton of a web page, including all the subpages. CSS brings the style, providing the layout, colors, fonts, that makes the site visually appealing, like dressing up that skeleton. JavaScript can add a touch of interactivity, but it's not necessary. Now you might say this: oh, come on. Every website works like this, right? Okay, But all the browsers are always rendering some sort of HTML code with additional assets. What's the big deal about static sites? Let me tell you. The key difference is not on the front-end side. It's on the server side. When we talk about dynamic websites, here is what happens behind the scenes. The user requests a web page, but instead of simply fetching a pre-built HTML file, the server has to build it on the spot, right? It runs an application that queries databases or other services through APIs, executes complex logic, and only then generates the HTML content. An application server can be a Vapor or a Hummingbird instance. They're pretty fast web frameworks. But still, all of this takes time, and this can lead to slower response times. Okay, now that we understand how a server responds to the user request, let me explain what's the difference between this static and dynamic approach. The key difference is the static sites don't need server-side code, nor a database or any third-party API calls to generate content on the fly. Everything is pre-generated, and the files are served just as they are to the end user. It's like comparing a prepackaged meal to a made-to-order dish. Static sites are ready to go right out of the box, and dynamic sites are built on the spot. Now, based on our past experience, we decided that this time we would prefer the fast food. But jokes aside, why go static? So, static websites are fast, secure, and efficient because they don't rely on server-side processing or databases, leading to quicker load times and fewer security risks, which is good. They can also save memory by lowering hosting and maintenance costs, making them a budget-friendly solution for many, many use cases. You can even host them on GitHub pages for free. And one major advantage over the dynamic approach is that you can cache everything. And you might use a content delivery network to distribute your website with fast access all across the globe. This is a pretty huge advantage. This is not possible with dynamic websites. But I have to admit something. As of today, I'm still guilty of using other tools and languages to build websites for our clients. And that's because I had no alternatives until now. Let me introduce our latest project. It is called Toucan. It is a static site generator written entirely in Swift, and we hope it will enable us to build amazing websites using the power of ServerSide.swift. We've learned a lot from our experience with the Feather CMS project, and our goal was simple: just to build something fast, keep it minimal, use less code, and go static. Okay, but how exactly did we? While working on other projects, we also noticed that many clients would send their content using text files or simple documents. So we thought, why not use plain Markdown as the foundation? We also wanted to give front-end developers full control over the look and feel of the sites. That's the reason why we use the Mustache template engine. And that's how Toucan works in a nutshell. It can turn your Markdown files into beautiful websites utilizing custom themes. Of course, the whole build pipeline can be customized. Let me tell you about this in just a few words. When rendering HTML files using themes, we first transform Markdown into a contextual HTML code. And later on, we embed that into the final template. We use the Swift-Markdown library for this purpose. It is developed by Apple, and it employs the visitor pattern. Just a single protocol implementation is more than enough to convert Markdown blocks into HTML tags. The library is also used by the DocC project, and it supports custom Markdown block directives. We frequently use those to build custom sections and grids, just like DocC does it. But rendering Markdown is simply not enough. We also needed the concept of content types. So, if you want to build a blog, you might need the ability to add some extra information to the Markdown, such as the publication date, or mark it as a featured post. And we use front matter for this purpose, which is just additional data embedded into the Markdown files. We also support separate YAML files to define this information. But we haven't stopped there. We've also created an extra layer called content types to differentiate subpages. We use front matter and content type definitions to set up the whole structure of the website and form relationships between your content. For example, a blog post can have one or more authors, or may be categorized using tags. The content type definition also provides contextual variables for the template engine, allowing you to render tags and authors for the posts, or even list your posts on the main page. In order to understand this, we still need to briefly discuss the template system. So, Mustache is a logicless web template system that allows the replacement of contextual variables with actual content in a template file. It is a simple solution with no control flow statements. But it is fast, powerful enough to loop through arrays, which is good for us. It is also possible to reuse the components by using partial templates. Actually, the Hummingbird project features a complete Mustache implementation, all written in Swift. We use that in Toucan to generate HTML files. Now that you know the basics, this might sound familiar. Converting Markdown files into HTML documents using themes, right? There are other static site generators on the market, and they work in more or less the same way. So why did we create a new one? It seems like other static site generators have their own problems. Most of them require a fully working development environment to operate, and setting those up is not a walk in the park. With Toucan, we really had the opportunity to start all over again, to start from scratch and build a modern tool using Swift. The result is a single cross-platform binary with no additional dependencies. It's easy to use. Just install it, and you can start focusing on your content by writing plain old Markdown files. You will also be able to choose a theme from our upcoming theme store, or even build your own. The generated websites are extremely fast due to their static nature. So optimizing for search engines won't be an issue. Just focus on your content, pick your keywords wisely, and we will do the rest by supporting clean URLs and all the other technical requirements for better ranking. Okay, let me show you how to use Toucan. Can you see it? Perfect. So in order to install Toucan, you just have to grab the repository from the project's GitHub page. I already did that, and I'm going to run make install to set up the binary on the operating system. This will pull all the required dependencies using Swift Package Manager, and it will install everything. That's it. You can verify this by running the which Toucan command. And there it is. Now that we have the binary, I also have an example site that we are going to build using Toucan. I have a makefile that helps me to set everything up. But as you can see, you just have to run the Toucan generate command, and you also have to provide the source directory where all your files are, and a docs directory that's going to be the output for the static assets. And this time I'm going to override the base URL because we are working in a local environment. Yeah, so there we go. Now, how do we preview this? Toucan also has a serve command, and you can launch a local Hummingbird server by providing a source directory and the port. Now, if I go to the localhost, there we go. This is our generated website. Actually, this is the official website for the Toucan project. Let me show you how the source directory looks like. As you can see, inside the source, we have a small configuration file. We also have a content type definition for the blog posts and the tags and the authors. We have a theme. This time we are using the default one. And we have the content, which is Markdown. Let me create a new subpage. That's going to be just a simple folder. This time, I'm going to create a brand new subpage for our upcoming theme store. And as you can see, the slug is going to be the name of that folder that you create. And inside of this folder, we have to create an index markdown file. I have a snippet for this. Okay. Now I have to regenerate the site so we can take a look at the changes and visit this subpage. But for this purpose, we also have a different command. It is possible to watch a source directory, and this way, if you change something in it, Toucan will automatically regenerate your site. So let me take a look at this theme store URL. There you go. Now we have an existing page. We just have to add it as a menu item. Let me do that real quick using the configuration file. Inside the configuration, you can define some user-defined variables, and the navigation is like this. I'm going to call this menu item themes. And it's going to point to the theme store URL. That's it. Save the file. Site should be auto-regenerated. And voila. We've got a nice new menu item. Yeah, I made it. Thanks. OK. So that's all I wanted to show you right now. Let me get back to my presentation. OK. So there's one question left. Who the hell needs this? Well, anyone with the same problem that we had. If you want better rankings, blazing fast, and beautiful websites without pulling your hair out, then maybe Toucan will be your new best friend. It's perfect for low-cost, low-maintenance projects, and it's ideal for smaller companies and individual developers who just want to publish websites without advanced coding skills. Over the next few months, we will work on building better docs, themes, and more content for Toucan. We aim to help indie developers by focusing on 3 main website categories: blogs, user guides, and landing pages. Hopefully, we can also launch our theme store very soon, featuring both free and premium templates. The good news is that Toucan will always be free forever, and it's also open sourced, of course. The entire source code of the generator is available on GitHub, and you can already see some real-world examples by browsing the source code of my blog or the one that we run together with Ioannis. Feel free to check this out on GitHub. Another question is, when we'll be ready? And actually, 1.0 alpha.1 is now available on GitHub. And I would like to encourage you to try out Toucan. We're already using it in production, and we love it. We've built several static websites with it. And since the very first alpha version is now tagged, you are ready to go. We are also going to provide some docs on the official website real soon, right after the conference. We may expect some breaking changes over the next few months until we tag version 1 as the first major release later this year. But if you like the idea and if you want to help us move the project forward, feel free to check out the project source code and create an issue or submit a pull request. Keep in mind that Toucan is built using server-side.swift technologies. So if you are already familiar with Swift, modifying the source code should be simple. As I mentioned before, we are going to launch our theme store later this year. If you would like to participate in our test program and get early access, please drop us an email. We are eager to share more themes, news, and everything else with you. I really hope that you enjoyed my talk, and thank you for being here. Please don't forget to visit toucansites.com for more information, and give us a star on the project's GitHub page if possible. If you would like to get more updates, you can also follow me on social media or support my work by purchasing the Practical Server-Side Swift book. Also, please drop me an email if you have any question about Toucan or server-side Swift development in general. Thank you again, and let me know if you have any questions.